chances are you've probably seen this play 1,000 times already.
Broom looking for a guard. It's Green. Green for the tie.
But whether you're an Auburn or Tennessee fan, the controversy still stands on whether it should have been a no call to end that high-profile matchup. On the latest episode 22 of the Auburn Experience podcast, myself and Austin Scott break down our thoughts on the ending of Auburn versus Tennessee.
I think both teams played incredibly. The problem I have, and this is where we're getting into the bulk of this, is that game, they swallowed their whistles for the first 6 minutes. And then we go on a whistle spree where we're just happy to pull it out and beep it as much as we can. And then at the end, we swallow it again. And when we can't even be consistent in the same game. And so I'm not overly excited about how officiating's been across college basketball. And it just really doesn't surprise me that it showed up like that. And I'm more in favor of in that final 10 seconds, letting it just play out, let the kids play if they make a shot. But when it's something that blatant and just that awful, it's hard for me to see how you swallow your whistle in that moment, or at least not even have a conversation about it. But it was a poorly officiated game. That doesn't excuse if Auburn had made just a couple more shots, they win that game. If they make a bunch more shots, like at a normal clip, it's a blowout in a road atmosphere against the top 2 team in the country. So it's just unfortunate, but it's hard for everyone to see. And we've all seen the back-to-backs. We all figured out this rule of you got to give the shooter space to land in another heartbreaking fashion. 4 years ago, Kyle, in the Final Four? We've all seen that.
Stings like it was yesterday.
That one was less blatant than this one. And so, Samir Dowdy could have just took Kyle Guy's legs out from under him and flipped him over like Plavich did on Wendell Green yesterday, but he didn't. And so it's frustrating that there's not consistency. I know it's not the same referees. There was the exact same call against Auburn in the game yesterday. That was the same referees, but it's just a whole bunch. If we want to get into a whole officiating segment, we could go talk about some inflated scores for gymnastics on Friday night, but we'll just stick to basketball for now. We'll just stick to basketball for now.
Yeah. Like I said in opening segment, it's not an Auburn week if it's not a lot of this roller coaster. It's not an Auburn game, match, meet, whatever you want to call it. It's just the Auburn way. We got a lot of highs and a lot of lows too. And some of them are self-inflicted and some of them are not. And I want to say this too. And I've found myself personally, I think people who know me can attest to this, that I've maybe, I don't know if matured's the right word, but I used to be one of these big, blame the refs guys type of thing. So I don't want this to take away from our discussion that, we're just being all about the refs. I've actually been very quick, if people will recall, in live stream reaction shows to say, people are like, oh, the refs lost that one. For a second. I don't know about that. If you're not in that situation, it doesn't affect you. And yes, that is true here. However, the officiating society at large deserves an opportunity to apologize. Not deserves. I don't know. That wasn't the right word. The officiating society, everyone that's ever put on the white and black stripes, needs to find Samir Dowdy and apologize to him today. Today. If you ever said anything bad about Samir Dowdy, you need to apologize to him today, because if that was a foul, and it was
absolutely
in the Samir Dowdy situation in the Final Four, to the letter of the law. It's kind of like this targeting stuff. Don't get me started on that tonight, okay? To the letter of the law, that was a foul.
Yes.
In that situation, given how you had called the rest of the game, should that have been called? Probably not. Should this have been called, given what happened in that last time? Probably yes, because it's the same exact scenario, probably a little bit more. I think someone today on social media made the point that if you watch Samir Dowdy, he comes into him, but he moves off to the side as he's doing it, clearly trying to avoid contact. I forget his name for Tennessee.
Plavich or whoever.
And listen, it's a little guy versus a big guy, right? It's going to look worse. I acknowledge that. doesn't even try, just post up and leans into him. And yes, you have to give a clear room to go up and come down, and did not. Wendell Green was fouled. Should have been 3 shots. Yes, he has to make the 3 shots to tie to send it into overtime.
Absolutely.
All that's at play. We're acknowledging every caveat, every scenario that you could, whether this is Auburn's fault or not, they're even in the situation. Horrible, awful, despicable call, non-call. And I'm surprised Bruce didn't get like fined or something for it. And he showed more restraint than I would have.
Well, and Bruce, you know, that's another thing about the whole thing is the officials don't make the call on an egregious foul and then just take off with their tails tucked, heading to the locker room to provide no kind of conversation with a coach they just spent 60 minutes with refereeing the game, which isn't surprising if you watch the way they interacted with Bruce the entire game anyway. But it's just no one's justifying the call. Everyone's just saying, well, if Auburn had made their shots, they wouldn't have. And that is totally accurate. If they'd made their shots, if they'd made 1 more 3, if they'd made 2 more layups, it's not a big thing. If they made all their free throws, sure. But it doesn't discredit the fact that it's a foul. No one, right. You know, you can say we're playing the blame game all day long, but it was a foul, you know, like, and that, like you said, Kyle, I think you brought up a great point. Wendell Green still has to make the free throws. He might go up there and make 1. He might make none of them.
Right.
But it's still a foul. And it's one of the worst that we've seen in college basketball this year. And pretty much everyone's universally in agreement about that.
Yeah, well, when you got major networks picking this up, making shorts video about this, and say even just asking the question, was this a foul? Now, if it's big enough for you even to make a video, make a statement, or I think there was something, maybe I'm wrong. I was coming back from vacation, but I feel like there was an ESPN ticker that said, was this a foul? Auburn versus Tennessee. Like that should tell you something was wrong there.
Yeah, it's just I get the whole thing about, and I would love for our guys to be able to make shots and not be in that position. But the referees are also there to do their job. It doesn't matter if there's 10 seconds left, 5 seconds left. We've seen calls with way less time. So I really don't agree at all with the fact that the referees shouldn't have called it, or they should hold their whistle during 10 seconds. If it's a foul like that, you were there to make that call, and you have the responsibility to do so to make sure we get the fairest game possible. And that did not happen.
No, it did not. And listen, my biggest thing with referees is they got a job to do. It's a tough job to do, but referees should not be affecting the outcome of the game. And again, restating what we've already said, that Auburn should have never been in that situation. We get all that. They affected the outcome of the game, point blank, by not doing something that they had done earlier. So we'll still lament about that. I don't think it'll become to the level of Virginia double dribbled, which I threw one of those. I did. Let me go back to segment 1. I did have that where I didn't say it loud enough probably for him to react to it, but as I was in line at Disney World and just saw a Virginia fan that said Virginia double dribbled. So, I guess if people want to, we can go Tennessee fouled or whatever.